Right then, let's talk local stock markets, IPOs, stock market listings. The latest cab off the rank in Abu Dhabi is the hospital company Burjeel. Delighted to say that we're joined in the studio now by the founder, chairman, managing director of VPS Healthcare, Dr. Shamsheer Vayalil. Dr. Shamsheer, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for having me.
So you founded this company back in 2007, 15 years later. Last week, you sold a 15% stake to International Holding Company in Abu Dhabi. This week, you're launching an IPO. Big change. Why?
It's a transformative change. We have had this exciting journey with single hospital to this network of hospitals we have built. It's a growth story. We have done it pretty much with a very clean ownership structure for the last 15 years. And now we think it's the right scale-up plan for the company. We need to give it back to where we have grown. So in all sense, it's going to be a very transformative journey.
Let's just rewind to 2007 and starting this company. You are Dr. Shamsheer Vayalil. Yes. You're a doctor of medicine. You're a radiologist by profession. How did you go from being a radiologist to setting up one clinic to being on the Forbes billionaire list and now having an IPO in Abu Dhabi? I mean, that's a long story, but give us the short version.
So I come from a business family. Probably the blood is all about doing something. And being a radiologist always confined to the basements of the buildings, because normally you see radiology on the basements and you don't get any exposure to sunlight. So I did not think that was my calling. And I decided early on, because I just worked for 1 year in a public hospital in Abu Dhabi. And that's a story, right? I came here, I saw the environment, the opportunity, and I think this is true for many other people who has the guts to go for it, who has the intention to do it. This country is amazing. It nurtures talent, and I would say that the entire ecosystem helps you to achieve your goals faster than what you think you can.
So the company's doing well. I'm looking at your latest results. You're a private company at the moment, but you published your full year 2021 results ahead of the IPO. Revenue 3.4 billion dirhams. Great. And UAE and Oman are where your clinics are now mainly. EBITDA close to 1 billion dirhams. Net profit of about 250 million dirhams. So why sell out? Now, why sell to IHC or to me in an IPO?
So when you sell something, you want to do it leaving value on the table. I could have hold on for some more time, but again, that's a decision we consciously took. And we think that this is a scale-up plan. And we have always talked about scale. We have talked about, the volumes, community. So I think, we have come to this far. And I think this is the exact time when I can leave value on the table. We have invested the entire CapEx. There's no more CapEx within the infrastructure that we have built required. And we are only at 40% utilization, close to 44% utilization. So when you want to leave value on the table, that is where it becomes a good story. And I really want to do that by leaving some value on the table.
What's this company going to look like in 5-10 years' time? You said this when the results came out. We want to be the leading healthcare services provider in the Middle East. And then there's an extra couple of words, and beyond, which sounds a little bit Buzz Lightyear. But where do you mean the Middle East and beyond?
So, Richard, for us, the business started with the concept of health equity, right? Our model, if you see, we have different brands catering to different segments. No one is denied of care. We have industrial hospitals, middle class, brand called as Medior and Burjeel. So we've been working alongside some of the governmental agencies outside of the country as well. And we are there where they need us to be there. So we are operating hospitals in Yemen. We opened, helped the government to build a hospital in Liberia. So for us, it's a calling. We want to help other people as well, but we will not do that by investing our own capital. We will do that at the request of a particular government or a sovereign fund to do such an activity.
Let's talk about corporate governance. We can't talk about the IPO of an Abu Dhabi-based hospital operator without thinking about NMC, the company that was listed in London and then collapsed. You're not related to them. It shouldn't impact you. And yet, in the eyes of investors, we all have memories. We all think about these things. What can you say to investors about corporate governance?
So if you want to understand the difference, the fundamental difference is that we have grown not by acquisitions. We have grown by designing every project in the way and the shape we wanted. So we never had taken a hospital which is completed and then retrofit everything is not what we were doing. We were actually designing the story as we were growing by listening to our patients, listening to the insurance companies. So I think that has kept us stronger. And that was very obvious during COVID, where we were able to manage government hospitals to treat a lot of COVID cases. So we have a organic clinical focus approach versus acquisition, fast growth, even though we would have opened every year 1.5 hospitals in the last 15 years. So particularly the culture of the company has been enhanced when COVID came. It was that togetherness, even though we lost 3 people to COVID, but we saw many heroes emerging during COVID. So it's a story that has been built by the people of the organization, by our employees who were really looking forward to our success. So there is a basic difference. And corporate governance, if you see our board structure, it's a majority independent board. And corporate governance comes from within. We were always very disciplined in our growth. So a few years back, we were very tight on our approaches. We were exactly doing what we were to do. We never got divulged to different interests. We never had a real estate interest. We were going on a top-light model. So the fundamentals are very strong. And I think going further, that will help us making sure that we have the right corporate governance in place.
We've only got a couple of minutes left. What about the fundamental existential question about healthcare for profit? And to be fair, we get it about education for profit as well. The fact that you're now going to have shareholders, quarterly results, you need to drive revenue and drive profit. And yet inflation of healthcare costs has been an issue in this region and others, the United States, for many, many years now. How do you marry those two? You want to give good value healthcare, and yet you've got shareholders who want improved returns.
So it's all about your intention of what you are existing for. Our main purpose was to solve the problems that the healthcare was facing at that point of time. Even during COVID, people couldn't travel. That was the time when we opened Burjeel Medical City, which was focused on oncology, pediatrics, trauma.
And that's in Abu Dhabi?
That's all in Abu Dhabi. 400 beds, Burjeel Medical City in Abu Dhabi. So we have designed the product not just for Abu Dhabi. We have designed the product for the whole region. And if you look at healthcare investments in the last 5 years, not much has gone into new infrastructures. And when COVID came, every eyeball moved to COVID. So now that now we are thankful to the leadership where masks are out. We see that other waves are receding. So we have designed a product that can be of use, not just for Abu Dhabi. So I don't think for profit, as long as we are not greedy for profits, that is where it will help the organizations.
It opens on Friday.
That's right.
I'm right in thinking.
That's right.
Wish you the best of luck with that. It's a real UAE success story. Thanks very much indeed for joining us today.
Thank you.
Chairman and Managing Director of VPS Healthcare and of Burjeel, the hospital company that's IPOing this week in Abu Dhabi.